country is failing to fix. Stay until the very end, because Detroit is not just a story about one city. It is a warning about what happens when the system built to catch people was never really designed to do that. Chapter 1. The real numbers. Detroit and Wayne County have approximately 17,000 people experiencing homelessness right now. Of those, roughly 5,500 are completely unsheltered, sleeping in abandoned buildings, under highway overpasses, in cars and parks. But that number is a serious undercount. Detroit has thousands of abandoned structures across the city. Empty houses, empty factories, crumbling commercial buildings. Thousands of people live inside those structures, completely off the official radar. No outreach team finds them. No annual count captures them. Local advocates estimate the real unsheltered number is closer to 8,000 to 10,000 people. Now understand what makes Detroit different from every other city in this series. Detroit has a poverty rate of 30%. Nearly 1 in 3 residents lives below the poverty line. The city's median household income is $34,000 per year, compared to a national median of $74,000. Detroit households earn less than half the national average. The city has over 25,000 vacant and abandoned structures within its limits. Detroit filed the largest municipal bankruptcy in American history in 2013. Its school system collapsed under state emergency management. Its water system made international headlines for lead contamination. And into all of this, $120 million was directed at homelessness. In a city this broken, $120 million is not a solution. It is not even close. It is a bandage on a wound that needs surgery. But even that bandage never arrived where it was needed most. Stay with us, because next we go to the streets. And what you see will make this crisis feel unlike anything you have watched before. Chapter 2. The streets of Detroit. Walking through Detroit is unlike walking through any other American city. It does not look like Skid Row in Los Angeles, where homelessness is concentrated in one visible place. Detroit's crisis is spread across a vast emptied landscape. Imagine a neighborhood where every third house is abandoned, windows gone, roof caved in, front door hanging open, and somewhere inside, in a back room, a person sleeping on a mattress they carried in themselves. This is Detroit. The abandoned buildings are not background, they are shelter. Dangerous, unofficial, untracked shelter, but thousands of people choose them over the open street because at least there are walls between them and the Michigan winter. Under the I-75 and I-94 overpasses, encampments have formed in the concrete understructure. Some have been continuously occupied for 2 to 3 years. Their own informal rules, their own regular faces, a community built entirely from shared desperation. The Detroit Rescue Mission runs emergency shelters that hit capacity almost every night. On the coldest nights, when temperatures drop below zero and wind chills hit -25 or -30, the shelters turn people away, not by choice. Because there is no space, those turned away go back to the abandoned buildings, back to the tents, back to wherever they came from. And this is what separates Detroit from every Sun Belt city in this series. Detroit sees temperatures of -10 to -20 degrees Fahrenheit in January and February. In those conditions, being outside without shelter is not uncomfortable. It is life-threatening within hours. People die on Detroit streets every winter. Their bodies are found in abandoned buildings and under overpasses when the temperature drops far enough. This is what $120 million was supposed to prevent. Stay with us, because the next chapter follows the money. And the answer to where it went is not what most people expect. Chapter 3. Where did $120 million go? Between 2018 and 2026, Detroit and Wayne County spent approximately $120 million on homeless services, emergency shelter, transitional housing, and outreach. In 2022, the Department of Housing and Urban Development reviewed Detroit's homeless services system. The findings were serious. HUD found Detroit had one of the lowest housing placement rates among comparable cities in the country. People entering the shelter system were staying an average of 14 months before any housing placement was made. The national benchmark is 3 to 4 months. 14 months in emergency shelter. Not progressing, just waiting. HUD also found serious data problems. Providers were submitting incomplete records. Outcomes were not being tracked. The system could not accurately report how many people had actually been housed. Money was going in. Results were not coming out. Now look at where the money was actually flowing. Detroit's emergency shelter costs approximately $45 to $65 per person per night. Multiply that by thousands of people, multiplied by 14 months average stay, and the majority of that $120 million was absorbed by simply keeping people in emergency shelter with no exit. Emergency shelter is the most expensive part of the entire homeless system, and it produces zero permanent outcome. When the stay ends without a housing placement, the person returns to the street. The cycle resets. The cost begins again. Detroit was spending most of its budget maintaining a revolving door, not building a way out of it. Meanwhile, permanent supportive housing in Detroit costs approximately $150,000 to $180,000 to build, a fraction of Los Angeles costs. Detroit has vast amounts of vacant land that could be used, but the money kept going to emergency shelter because shelter generates ongoing contracts year after year. Permanent housing is a one-time cost that eventually reduces the need for those same contracts. The same structural problem as every other city. Different scale. Same result. Next, we meet the real people this money was supposed to reach. Their stories make everything we just said feel very personal. Chapter 4. The people the money never reached. Marcus is 49 years old, 18 years on the assembly line at a Detroit auto parts plant. Union wages. A house he bought outright for $40,000. A stable life he built with his hands. In 2019, his plant closed. Production moved to Mexico. His severance lasted 8 months. He fell behind on property taxes. Wayne County began foreclosure proceedings. Marcus lost his house in 2021. He entered the shelter system that winter. His case manager had 85 people on their caseload. Marcus got one 20-minute meeting per month. After 14 months, he was placed in transitional housing. 2-year time limit. When it ended, no permanent placement had been found. He returned to the shelter system. Marcus has been cycling between shelters and streets for 4 years. He is not addicted to anything. He has no mental health diagnosis. He is a healthy adult who wants to work and wants a home. The system has simply never prioritized finding him one. Denise is 34 years old. Grew up in Detroit. Good job in healthcare administration at a local hospital. Stable life. In 2023, she was diagnosed with lupus. The disease progressed fast. She lost her job, lost her insurance, lost her apartment within 4 months. She applied for emergency housing assistance. Waiting list. She spent 2 winters in the shelter system, leaving every morning at 7 a.m. when shelters cleared residents out, walking the city for 12 hours, returning at 6 p.m. when doors reopened. 12 hours outside every day. In Detroit winter, with an autoimmune disease. Denise is currently in transitional housing. She does not know where she goes when the time limit expires. She asks her caseworker about permanent options every meeting. The answer is always the same. The waiting list is long. Marcus and Denise are not the image most people picture when they hear the word homeless. No addiction, no mental health crisis, just people whose lives were broken by plant closures, medical bills, and a tax system that took their homes in a city already falling apart. And they are inside a system that spent $120 million and still cannot find them somewhere permanent to live. Stay with us, because the next chapter explains why no homeless services budget can fix what actually happened to Detroit. Chapter 5. The collapse behind the collapse. Homelessness is not Detroit's primary crisis. It is a symptom of something that has been happening for 40 years. Detroit lost over 60% of its population between 1950 and today. No American city has experienced collapse at that scale in the modern era. When a city loses 60% of its people, everything falls with them. Less population means less property tax, less income tax, less of every kind of revenue that funds city services. Roads deteriorate. Streetlights go out and stay out. Detroit once had over 40% of its streetlights non-functional in residential neighborhoods. Schools close. Fire stations reduce coverage. As services collapse, more people leave. As more people leave, revenue falls further. The cycle feeds itself. Detroit has been trapped in this loop for 4 decades, and it did not start with a homeless crisis. It started with the collapse of American manufacturing. Decisions made in corporate boardrooms and in trade policy that eliminated the economic foundation of an entire city almost overnight. Plants closed. Workers lost wages that had supported entire neighborhoods. The city lost its tax base. Houses lost their value. Neighborhoods emptied. The people left behind, the ones who could not afford to move, who were too old or too sick, who had everything rooted in a city disappearing around them, stayed and watched. The people sleeping in abandoned buildings in Detroit did not end up there because of personal failure. They ended up there because the economic engine of their city was dismantled, and the people who made that decision never had to live with the consequences. $120 million cannot fix 40 years of deliberate disinvestment. And until that truth is acknowledged, the homeless services budget will keep treating symptoms while the real wound stays open. Conclusion. Tonight we followed $120 million through Detroit. We found it in emergency shelters turning people away in -30 wind chills. We found it in a system keeping people waiting 14 months with no housing placement. We found it in audit findings that could not account for results. We found it in a structure designed to maintain the crisis, not end it. And we found what it did not reach. Marcus, 4 years cycling between shelters and streets because the system cannot find him a permanent home. Denise, walking Detroit in winter with an autoimmune disease, 12 hours outside every day because the shelter cleared its residents out every morning. 17,000 people across Wayne County, inside a city already carrying more than most American cities have ever been asked to bear. Detroit did not create this. The collapse of American manufacturing created it. Trade policy created it. A tax foreclosure system that took homes from people who could not pay, in a city with high tax rates and near worthless home values, created it. $120 million was never going to fix 40 years of collapse, but $120 million spent honestly on permanent housing instead of a revolving door could have housed thousands of people who are still outside tonight. That gap between the money and the outcome is a choice. Detroit has the land, it has the buildings, it has programs that work. What it does not have is the political will to choose permanent solutions over the contracts that depend on the crisis continuing. And the people in those abandoned buildings on the east side of this city are still waiting for that will to arrive. May every person in Detroit without shelter tonight find warmth before the temperature drops. May Marcus find work that matches the 18 years he gave. May Denise find a door with no time limit on it. May this city, which once built the world, find the courage to rebuild itself from the inside out. Thank you for watching until the very end. If Detroit's story hit differently than you expected, like this video right now, subscribe and turn on notifications, because tomorrow we go to New York City. $4 billion spent, 100,000 people still sleeping outside, the most expensive homeless failure in American history. That story is next. We will see you there.